Let's talk HERS scores. What is a HERS score? Well, obviously we know what that is. We have some great HERS scores on our homes because of the features and benefits of our Environments for Living program that on the way we build our homes here in Houston. But how does the customer relate to this? What does it mean to them? Like a lot of things that we can't just throw something out there and expect true understanding. No different than feature dumping. Again, if there's no benefit to the customer, well, then what you've done is thrown out something that basically is worthless or is passed over by them. So, like a lot of things that we have in the home, and that we need to work with the buyer on, we need to come up with a great way to explain this to the buyer so that they can understand the value of it, what it means to them, and that we can also build our value not only in our home, but also in us as a professional that can help them through the biggest investment that they're going to make in their life. So let's talk about HERS scores. First of all, it's always a good idea, if you can, to ask the customer what they know about it. What do you know about HERS? What does that mean to you? I will venture to say very few people are even going to know what you're talking about. So let's take that assumption where the customer says, well, I really don't know what that means. You could say, well, you bought a car before, Mr. Buyer, haven't you? Yes, well, sure I have. Well, and when you went to the car dealership, they have on the side of the car, they have what we call the EPA mileage estimates, where they show the estimated highway mileage and the estimated city driving, right? Well, that was a program established a number of years ago to where the whole auto industry could come up with a standardized way of estimating how fuel efficient that an individual car would be. And so whether you're buying an SUV or a compact or a smart car or a sports car or whatever, when you look at that mileage estimate, it's based on what overall cars and what you can expect to get. Well, the same thing came about a few years ago for the energy industry. And when I say energy, I'm talking about for buildings and primarily residential. And there was a standard set that all the energy programs, including Energy Star and Environments for Living and Power Smart and all these other programs adhere to, but also that the heating and air conditioning manufacturers, home builders, everybody agreed this is how we're going to rate homes. And what they did, they set a standard based on a 100-point scale. This is back in 2006. And so they said a home built in 2006 to the standards at that time would rate a 100. Well, like a golf score, the more energy efficient a home is, the lower the score is. And just like golf, the lower a score you have, the better golfer you are. Maybe you're Phil Mickelson or Tiger Woods in his better days. But so the idea is it gives you a way of comparing apples to apples, because there's so much confusion out there when you're looking at all these home builders. They all tell you about individual components they use, or a certain amount of insulation, or kinds of insulation, or different kind of roof treatments and window treatments. When really the big picture, the whole thing that really matters to you as a customer is, okay, I see all this. What does that result in terms of how efficient is this home going to be? In other words, not only how comfortable, but how much money am I going to save with this thing? So, now to kind of put it in perspective, Energy Star, a program, are you familiar with Energy Star? Yeah. Well, Energy Star has been around for a number of years. It's kind of become kind of the de facto energy efficiency program. Most of the builders are at least Energy Star. To put it in perspective, Energy Star said in order for a home to qualify for the Energy Star certification, it had to score at least an 85 on the HERS score. Now that would mean it would be about 15% more efficient than a normal code-built home. And there's various other programs that are out there, and they're all designed to get that score lower. Quite a few talk about 70 to 75, and which is pretty good. But like everything else, there's pretty good and then there's real good. And that's why when I'm talking about what the HERS score is, in this particular home we're in, it happens to be 63. Now, 63 compared to 85, which most of the Energy Star builders are in that range, you're talking about well over 20%, 22% more energy efficient in this home than the next. Now, I have a little chart here that I can show you, talk about not only what you can expect to see, but here's the best thing. Not only am I what I'm telling you is not only paperwork here and so forth, but we also, as a builder, we give you a 3-year written guarantee on the heating and cooling portion of your energy bill, which is one of the reasons, because we have such a great HERS score and we have the inspections and can guarantee this thing, is something that you can count on when you buy one of our homes. Now, the reason I'm telling you all this is that this helps you when you shop around, because it's, we all get caught up a lot of times in the features, whether it has crown molding or arches or granite countertops or wood floors or, stone on the front and all that. Those are all nice things to have, but they really have nothing to do with the quality of the construction of the home. And so what I like to do is give you a kind of a little breakdown on that, because let's put it this way. If you're saving, say, $50 a month, every single month on your utility bills, and when I'm talking, heating and cooling and other things, but if you're talking about $50 a month, this is used as an average. When you add that in to everything else that's included in living in a home, you got your house payment, but you also got your electric bill, gas bill, water bill, right? You got all those other things. Well, if you're saving $50 a month right now, and you have some sort of written guarantee as to the amount that it's going to be, well, that's no different than when you're comparing one home to another, you need to allow about $9,000 credit for the more energy efficient home, because that's about what it equates to in a monthly payment. That's the equivalent of a home being about $9,000 a better deal than another home, just because of the energy savings. Now, does that make sense to you, Mr. Buyer? Okay. Now, that's one way that we can present it. There's other angles. You can do something as simple as, Mr. Buyer, a HERS score on this home is 63. What does that mean to you? Well, there's a 100-point scale set around 2006, and it's used to rate all homes across the country with all the energy features and so forth. Forget just which gizmo and that SEER and all that. I'll give you this. I've got a whole list of things that you can do as a comparison. But how do you as a consumer compare everything? This is what you can count on. We're a 63. Most Energy Star homes here in Houston are 80 to 85. Energy Star says you only have to meet 85 to qualify for the Energy Star certification. And so here's something I would recommend to you. If you really want to know how energy efficient a home is, clear away all the other things that the builders tell you. And I don't care whether you buy a home from me or anybody else. I mean, surely I want to sell you a home, but when you're shopping around to where you can kind of clear the air, because you hear so much about discounts and deals and free this and free that and all. I mean, you want to know what's behind the walls. So ask this question. Ask them what their HERS score is. They should be able to tell you and be able to show you some sort of documentation on it. Again, if it's the lower the number, the better the HERS score. And so it gives you a comparison. Write it down when you're looking at a specific home and comparing it to another builder's home. And then figure out what the difference is. Ask what the savings is. Go back to the builder maybe that you're considering that has a lower HERS score. Ask them to compute. What does this mean to me money-wise? Because it does mean money. It does mean money to you. There is a difference, because just like automobiles, we don't buy certain automobiles just because of the way they look. We don't buy, particularly in luxury cars, it's not always just because of what it looks like. It's because of what's under the hood, what the performance is, and so forth. And we understand that in homes. We understand that in automobiles. We understand that in a lot of things. We understand it in watches and television sets and stereo equipment and so forth. But on homes, it's hard to tell because we're caught up in the beauty of them. And they're all beautiful that way. But you'll want to know what it costs beyond just what that sales price is. This is another way, and it's a good way for you to kind of clear it out and get a good comparison. So ask what that HERS score is, and they should be able to provide it to you and talk to you a little bit about it. And why theirs is what it is and what that means to you. Now, there's several ways you can do it. And the point I'm making is that we need to be able to have a conversation with people about what this means to them. And you need to paint the picture for them to where they can acknowledge, they understand what this thing means, because it's foreign. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of your competition does not know, or is not going to talk about it, or doesn't really even know what it is. So once again, practice this. Think about it. Work with your partner on it. Practice it in front of the mirror. We've talked about this before. And try it with your customer. Share it with them. Tell them, if you've got a little sign out on your island saying, what's my HERS score? I've got one here, and it says, I don't know if you can read it, it says, my HERS is 63, what's yours? Put it out there and get the conversation going. And not only help your buyer, educate your buyer, but guess what? Build value in their home, in our home, more importantly, build value in you as a professional sales counselor that has something different to tell them than everybody else. Thanks.